So following on from video number 2 of how long have the gang stalkers been stalking me offline and online, I was talking about my high five method that I was using to overcome anxiety and depression, and I realized I needed to do a full disclosure of everything that I was doing so that if anyone wants to try it, you can follow those steps, you know. Okay, so the reason I'm hesitating, as always, you know, my roosters have been quiet, and then right when I started to record this video, and this is now the second time that I have restarted because of this, they've started screaming, you know, and there's no reason for it. I took them out a big bowl of a really nice treat of yogurt with their feed mixed in, which they absolutely love. So they've got full bellies and they're all should be very happy and quiet, and yet they're not. Okay, well, now they've calmed down, touch wood, hopefully. Let's see if we can continue. So I wrote everything down so that I could let you know exactly what I was doing. So this is my high five method, in essence. Number 1 is a supplement called 5-HTP that I believe it's tryptophan, but there are natural things that you can get tryptophan in also. Okay, so I don't know if I don't quote me on this because I'm not an expert. I need to say this: I'm not a doctor or a nurse or anything. I'm just relaying what I did that helped. Okay, that helped me personally. I think possibly watermelon and I think if you eat oranges and pineapple together, I read somewhere that creates this tryptophan too. And I think it's, look, I don't believe this theory at all right, this brain chemicals theory at all. But what I am going to say is this: 25% of any effect is placebo. And so if you are the kind of person who really believes in substances to see, they've started again. This is incredible. If you're someone who really believes that a substance can, you know, cure you, then definitely use that one, because that will help you. Okay, I mean, frankly, they've done tests where they've given people Tic Tacs and they've had a positive effect, and that's because 25% is it's your own mind creating this effect, which is called the placebo effect. Okay, and you can read a lot more about it. I'm trying to think of the name of there's a book all about it. Okay, I'll have to come back to that because I don't want to get off the subject. Okay, so number 2 is meditation, prayer, and having somebody to talk to. Somebody who's non-judgmental. And that's why, as I said in the other video, dogs are really good for this. Because they love you unconditionally, don't they? That's perfect. And if you don't have a friend or a dog, then I suggest God is the very, very best person to talk to. Okay, number 3 is getting outside in the sunshine and in nature. Walking, swimming. If you're going to do exercise, that's even better, but outside in the sunshine is the key. And if you don't have sunshine, well, fresh air. Okay, everyone's got fresh air somewhere. Then number 4 is affirmations. And this was a very important key, and I left it, I'd forgotten it when I did the other video, but this is really an important one, actually. Because if you are being mind controlled, this is what I've figured out. If you're being mind controlled, but you are constantly repeating a positive phrase, that has got to have some kind of opposite effect to the mind control, I mean. So affirmations are brilliant. I would suggest to anyone, again, and I've said this before, read Louise Hay's book called You Can Heal Your Life. She talks about affirmations. I have my own way of doing affirmations, and that is, firstly is the normal way where you just make a phrase that expresses what you want to be the truth, and then you keep repeating that, or you sing it, or you can even make a recording and play it to yourself while you're sleeping at night. That's a really good way. But my method is that when I'm feeling something that I don't like, something uncomfortable, I make a sentence of exactly what that is. And then what I do is I make a second sentence that would be the exact polar opposite of that first sentence. I hope I'm explaining this. Okay, so, and it's a feeling thing. You feel it. When you've got the right phrase, you will feel it, because you'll feel a lifting. You'll feel a relief. You know, the first phrase is the one that was making you, that's what was making you feel really awful. Like, let's give it and let's give an example. For example, if you are feeling really crap, but you don't know why, and you sit with yourself a while and think, okay, what is this feeling? And then you discover, oh, I'm feeling like that because when I walked past that person, they gave me that horrible look. And then I thought to myself, oh, that's because I'm fat and ugly. Okay, this is a very random example, okay? So your first sentence in that case would be, I feel like I'm fat and ugly, okay? And then the opposite of that could be, I don't know, like, I am always young, beautiful, vibrant, sexy, whatever, but whatever it is, you will feel, once you feel the heaviness lifted, that's when you know you've hit the sweet spot, okay? It's like words and feelings working together. Anyway. Okay, so number 5 is the healing frequencies, and this is what I wanted to talk about, because when I sat down and actually remembered that time, so this is my full disclosure here. I was actually living in Malaga, Spain, right on the beach, okay? So that's got to have a good effect, right? And I was off work because of a bad back, so I was there every day. And I now know, by the way, that wasn't just accidental either, because when I had the scan, it turns out that one of the chips, one of the implants, is right there where the back pain was. So I think they were giving me back pain to make me not be able to work, because they're always trying to stop your finances, aren't they? Anyway, so full disclosure, I was living right on the beach. That's got to lift anyone's depression, right? But the fact is that when when they are hitting you with waves of depression, you you could be in paradise and you'd feel miserable. That's the truth, because of these frequencies and whatever it is they're doing. I don't even know. I don't know. They could be stimulating a part of the brain that's making you feel, I don't know. I read somewhere that they actually mimic the brain waves of someone who of that frequency of depression, and then that's what they are. They're entraining your brainwaves to do that. I read that somewhere too, but as I say, I'm not an expert on these things, so I don't know. I'm just relaying here what worked for me. Okay. So I was on the beach, and I was doing intermittent fasting, and I was doing something called Tabata that you'll have to look up. It's a kind of exercise. And that was toning my body and making me feel healthy, which in turn obviously does make you feel better. Okay, if you start to look better, then you start to feel better. Okay, that's kind of obvious. All right, but as I say, when they're hitting you with depression frequencies, they will make you feel bad no matter what. All right. But this is where I'm saying that the healing frequencies were really helping, because I think somehow it's not, there's nothing that I know of that can actually block any of these devices, okay? Not that I know of, but other people might tell you different, all right? However, what the healing frequencies do is this is, I don't even know how to explain this, but the healing frequencies are flooding your body with the positive frequency. So I think that gradually it's as if there's an opposite effect to the negative. It's something like that. And if you are consistent, which I was just listening to these frequencies virtually 24/7, okay, that's got to have an effect. And I believe that's what it was. So now I want to talk about exactly what those frequencies were, because because in the video before, I didn't really say exactly what it was, and I'm going to say that now. Right, so the number one recording that I was listening to just literally almost all the time was Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. It was his Brainwave Symphony. Now that's a set of 4 CDs or downloads, and but the particular one that I was listening to all the time virtually was the Alpha. And so what this is, it's classical music, but it's got the alpha brainwaves embedded in it. So, that's why I say, there's full disclosure, this is what I was doing at that time, and it was working. So it was Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. Now, I had also been using Michael Mackenzie, that I mentioned in the other video, and his program is called Project Meditation, and I'm not sure it's also called Life Flow. So I'm not sure if Life Flow is the particular, that thing I talked about that was numbered from 10 to 1, that was supposed to take you to enlightenment, if I understood it correctly. I believe so. But I wasn't at that time that I'm talking about now, where my depression was lifting. The one I was listening to in between Dr. Jeffrey Thompson's one is the Gamma. Okay, it was called Gamma. And it's Michael Mackenzie. And yes, Project Meditation, I believe, is his company. Now, what I want to say is that now, more recently, I have been using something called the Brain Sync Project, which is the recordings of Robert Monroe, if you know who that was. And now I'm talking about right now, okay? No, this was a long, long time ago. Well, you know what I'm telling you about the depression and anxiety. But right now, what I'm using is something called the Brain Sync Project. And in particular, I'm listening to the recordings that are to decalcify the pineal gland. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that I do believe that this is the single thing that has helped me to overcome the mind control more than any other thing. Now, I'm still being mind controlled, okay? I know that I am. I could give you incidents even from just a few days ago where I know, okay, that wasn't me, that was them, okay? But in general, I seem to be lifting out of it much more than, like before, I was just very heavily under the mind control. I should also mention that a few years ago, it was during the time when I was trapped in that field, and they had me under very heavy mind control at that time, that I haven't done a video about yet because, well, I know I'm procrastinating. It's very, very traumatic for me, that time. I mean, all of this is, frankly, all of it. And also, I want to say here, when I talk about torture, in any of my videos, when I talk about torture that's affecting me, I'm talking about psychological torture, because now this is just my experience, okay? Physical torture is horrible and horrific. Absolutely it is. However, for me personally, the psychological torture is much, much worse, okay? I'd say kind of like kryptonite, all right? I also want to say, all these things I'm telling you here were helping me with depression and anxiety. But torture is something different. Torture is torture, okay? Torture is designed to damage and destroy the victim, okay? And I'm saying this very carefully here because the gang stalkers are trying to fabricate this narrative where it's almost like they're trying to claim that, you know, all of this that they're doing to us is some kind of boot camp, and that we are being toughened up for something. I don't know. Another TI told me that she thought that she was going to be offered some kind of government position or something. I mean, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, and they call us delusional. However, this is serious because this seems to be what they're trying to claim. They are trying very hard to claim that gang stalking is good for you. This is how they're trying to get away with it. And they're trying this in many different ways. They're pretending that somehow it helps with addictions, you know, mental health issues. Listen, this is very important. They are the ones causing all those things with mind control. Okay, so all they have to do is quit mind controlling. That's all they have to do. But you see, this is so hard to explain, and they are trying to keep a foot in the door. That's what it seems to me. They're trying to keep the control, just in a slightly different way. Because people evolve and people learn things and people are wising up. So they have to, this is their one step ahead thing, to always pretend that they are the good guys, and they're the ones helping, when in fact, they're the ones causing all the problems. Okay, so the last thing I just wanted to say is that, just during the time when I was being very heavily mind controlled, and I was in the field in Texas, near George West, I was held captive there, just like I am now in my home. I was using at that time a recording by R. David Case. Now he's on Facebook and you can find him. Now I was finding that helpful in certain ways. It was definitely helping me with some of the effects of the frequencies. However, as I said, this didn't block the mind control, because they mind controlled me very badly. They even stole all my savings when I was there. So this didn't block that at all. And I just have to tell the truth here. However, another TI said that this guy's recording, R. David Case, his recording had stopped her V2K from happening. So now that's not my experience, but that's hers. So you might want to look into that. And he's brilliant. I mean, he will send you a little free sample so you can try it out for yourself. You have to get a certain kind of headphones for that, I believe. He will explain all that to you. But what his recording does is, as I understand it, it creates neuroplasticity in the brain. So it can actually, as I understand it, it can actually repair damage that has been done. So that's something very interesting to look into if you want to. And by the way, I am not being sponsored. I'm not being sponsored at all. Okay. I'm just talking about what works, what has worked for me, and what I know, what I have heard works for others too. But anyway, hopefully that was my high five, and that was all the things that I had been doing. I was just checking if I'd missed anything out, but I think that's it. I think I've said enough that that anyone could, try some or all of these things, and I'd be interested to know how you get on. But I repeat, disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I have no medical knowledge. I certainly have no understanding of how these weapons work or anything. I just accidentally came across the fact that these healing frequencies help. And I'm not even sure how they help. So, but it might help somebody else. So.